Hey everybody, Christy Birchville here. Today we are looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. And we've been talking about wisdom squandered. And if you want to go back and look at the other sessions that we've done through Ecclesiastes, make sure you check out the link below to the playlist in the description. But for today, we're actually going through one of the most famous passages of scripture through Ecclesiastes. There are plenty of people who've never heard of the book of Ecclesiastes who have heard these verses. When you start reading them, you're like, oh, as a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to sow, a time to, live, and a time to die. It goes through all these different things. And again, Solomon is sharing his wisdom, right, with the people. And as you keep going through, you finally get down to verse 14. And that's where I want to focus today. It says, I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Now, as we think about this, realize we have all of these statements about things that are going to become in their time, right? There's a time for this and a time for that, a time for this and a time for that. But God does everything that lasts forever. So while there may be seasons of change for the things that happen, what God does endures. What God does lasts. What God does stays. Now, that's important for us to remember because if we're thinking through our part in this, how do we play a role in what's happening here? We can take a look at this and realize if we want to make a difference, if we want to make an impact, we have to align with what God is doing. Because what God is doing is the only thing that's going to endure. And realize we're not going to be able to add to what God's doing. We're not going to be able to take away from it because God's going to accomplish his purpose and his will. The importance is that we can be alongside. And our purposes need to align with God's purposes, and we can come alongside him and be working to accomplish his purposes with him. That's where we find lasting and enduring purpose. And we don't get caught up in the ups and the downs and the times for this and the times for that and trying to keep track of all of that. No, at the end of the day, if we are doing what God tells us to do, we are on the right time every time. You want to read more? I have a book about Ecclesiastes. Check that out in the links below. And make sure that you leave a like and subscribe if you want to catch more. Make sure you don't miss anything on our series on Wisdom Squandered. Thanks.